Welcome to Media Makers Spotlight from Women in Film and Video in Washington, D.C. We bring you conversations with industry professionals for behind the screens, insight, and inspiration.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Candice Bloch, and I'm super excited to talk today with iconic and prolific costume designer Mona May. Mona is best known for her work on Clueless, as well as Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion, The Wedding Singer, Never Been Kissed, Enchanted, The House Bunny, American Reunion, and so many more. And I'm thrilled to dive into her career and talk all about fashioning characters for screen. Welcome to the show, Mona.
Oh, thank you so much. Great to be here.
So you have an interesting backstory. You grew up in India, Poland, Germany. You've studied fashion in Paris, New York, Los Angeles. How do you think your experiences across a number of cultures influenced your approach to fashion styling and costume design? And when did you first discover that you had a love for fashion?
I was that kid that loved drawing princesses and all their different outfits. Basically, already was doing collections, at 5 years old, and dressing mom and telling everybody what to wear. I don't know where I knew all of this and how. Really, I was so sure of myself at 5, really, it was really fun. But growing up all over the world was really interesting. I mean, it really, I think, for me as an artist, I think that we are who we are, and how do we process art or what we see, right? It's all kind of influenced by it. I mean, being born in India, the first, I opened my eyes and I saw color. So color really is something that's huge in my life, huge, the way that I see the world, the way that I dress, the way that I express color in the way that it has emotion to me too, so it's all over my work. So, I think everything influences you, all your experiences, wherever you grow up. So this is huge, and being able to be exposed to so many cultures, I think gave me kind of like a global perspective. Now we talk that way, but in a day when we made Clueless, for example, we didn't really, that phrase wasn't coined yet. But I think it kind of gave me something that's more of a timeless fashion, view of the world, something that kind of lives, because I've seen Japanese cultures and Indian cultures and, how people dress in Poland, Italy. So I kind of maybe picked up the best pieces from everywhere and I can, sprinkle that in my work.
Well, that's part of what makes you so fabulous at what you do. So how would you then describe your own personal aesthetic? Like what inspires your style?
I'm very eclectic. I'm kind of, again, I have different type of jewelry, from Africa, India. I use a lot of color the way that I dress. Again, I have pieces from 20 years ago. I have new pieces that I mix and match. I also, as we all go through phases, but I, for example, have a signature hat. So that I always wear hats. So that's kind of my signature. I love a hat.
That's cool.
I think that puts the outfit together, in such a better way. But yeah, I think that you kind of can recognize me. I have jumpsuits. I wear a lot of jumpsuits, for example, for work. So I think having a signature is good. I just tend to go more colorful, but eclectic.
Well, I mean, that's great. That goes with your background and sounds like your personality is very colorful as well.
Yes.
So getting into what you do that brings all these amazing things to our screens, how much research do you like to do on the characters that you're going to be designing for? And like, how much do you want to know their backstories and motivations for how they would dress, as well as like the evolution and story arc through a piece and how their clothing may change throughout and reflect that?
Research is everything. I mean, it's really everything. Like you have to have the blueprint is the script. So you start with that. You talk to the director and kind of get an idea of what's in their mind. How do they want to create this world? Who are these people? Where are they coming from? What is their arc? What is their story? Emotional story? Where they come from? All of it. Directors always already, probably worked with the script sometimes years, and really know so much in depth about that. So my job is to really get it out of them and find out and communicate. And I think then I can take that into me and process it in my way, how I see it, so I can kind of blend. Directors are our chiefs, so we really are working for them to create, what they envision in a way, support it. But I can always bring a spin of my flavor. And I think, sometimes you work with directors that don't really know fashion or don't really know period clothes. So you have to kind of educate them as well. So, I create boards for each character. I, really work with textures and not just fashion, but I bring mood boards in a way like, are they sad? So there's stuff that's kind of maybe reflects that from art or photography. All of that is very emotional, clothes, characters, moods. So I think layering all of that because I also have to communicate with other departments. I have to talk to the director of photography. I have to talk to the production designer, even decorator. What kind of, furnitures are they going to have? Where are they from? Are they depressed or happy? Is the, house a mess? Or, are they Laura Ashley or are they Prada? All of that. Do they have money and not have money? So the boards are very great to communicate between the departments, And then once that's kind of like worked out in a way, maybe not worked out is because it's never really worked out, but we kind of are on the same page. Then I go to the actors, and then I kind of work with the actors because they bring their own vision to it. What how do they feel about the character? Maybe they like, oh my God, the character would never wear yellow, or
Yeah.
only baggy clothes, or I always want to have some stains on there, or I'm a painter, or whatever that is. So I have to kind of bring that into the field, and then I can kind of start prepping, having all that information, because if you don't, now we don't have much time and money. So it's like, if I don't have the right information, I can't really move forward in the right way because I'm wasting time and money, and there's no coming back. Sometimes you get actors the day before, 2 days before we're shooting. It's
Wow.
insanity, and the process of getting somebody into the fitting, it's a complicated process.
Well, it sounds like that you got to stay flexible and creative and have options the whole way through. And that's awesome that you do mood boards. I was going to ask a little bit more about your process, but you kind of explained it.
Yeah.
And that's interesting to, to make sure you're working with all of the other departments as well. And I'm sure, it's also when you get to fittings, how comfortable actors are in the pieces themselves as well.
You know what? It's so important because it's all about trust. I think with the director trusts you can deliver, that the actor trusts you, that you have their bag, that you're going to do the best for them, that you're not going to push something that maybe they don't want. Because in the end, as a costume designer, I have to bring the actor to the set 100%. They got to feel 100% that the character, they got to be happy. If something is off and I push something, I didn't do my job. I have to deliver them so they can just do their jobs, seamlessly and happily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you and Amy Heckerling, director Amy Heckerling, you've described her as sort of a creative soulmate following a pilot that wasn't picked up prior to the production of Clueless. And Amy has even said that the best part of making movies is working with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about how and when you got hired for Clueless, like how that all began?
Well, I was very lucky because I worked with Amy on the pilot, and the pilot didn't get picked up, but we really connected. I mean, it was like, that was in the day before computers and cell phones. So we would bring tear sheets, from magazines. We're like, oh my God. And it was like the same tear sheet. So we knew, we just see things the same way, same sensibility. And it's hard to find that, I think when you find that especially a work with a creative partner like that, it's so great because there's like shorthand, you think the same, you understand each other.
Yeah, you're on the same wavelength.
Exactly, on the same wavelength. So when Amy wrote Clueless, she called me and she said, I really want you to do the movie. I see that you were just the perfect person because you have fashion background. I'm European, which is also something a little different. So it's not so, everything's so American in a way, stuck in here, that I have a bigger point of view. And then I can translate that as a costume designer. So again, you're not just getting fashion designer, but you have someone who can take that new point of view from the runways, but then translate it into the high school, into the 16-year-old girls, so that the characters become authentic and real. And, we love them. They're not just snooty models running around in high heels.
Yeah. So you, Amy, only had a $200,000 costume design budget for Clueless, which even in the 90s isn't that big of a budget for a studio film. And Alicia Silverstone has 63 costume changes alone, and then there's, dozens more for other characters. That's a lot. I read somewhere you only had even about 8 weeks to do all this. So how did you achieve like such, amazing, vibrant, interesting characters and fashions? And how much planning was done in thrift and stuff was done with thrift stores around LA?
That's a big question. Oh my God. I mean, it's, I don't even know how I did it. Seriously. I think you're just young and you're so excited, and this is what you've got. And, Amy was so brilliant, and we had such a great directions from her. I mean, the script was so amazing. The characters were so developed. We knew who these girls are. And then once she cast them, I mean, it was like Alicia Silverstone. It was no brainer, I mean, and she was the queen bee, and how she had to be dressed and, in her kind of controlling way of the world, like the perfection that she was, and kind of a preppy look. And then Stacey Dash, that was, kind of older and a little more sexier and funky and cool. And I mean, I also had to dress all the extras, because we were completely inventing a world that didn't exist. Everybody was wearing grunge.
Right.
So you couldn't really take the extras and put them in a movie. They had to belong to this weird world that we were creating of high fashion. So I had to spend money buying clothes for them as well. I mean, it was thousands of costumes, and I had a great team, but it was kind of the mother of invention too. Not having money. Okay, what do? We have to create something that doesn't exist. So we have to go everywhere. We have to go to the thrift stores. Melrose was booming in the 90s. That was just the best place. We had all the cool shops. There was like a Red Bull, which was raver shops. There were the great thrift stores. So there was a lot kind of here. There was pre-Amazon. It was really pounding the streets. It was going to the mall to Contempo Casual. It was going to the few of the designer stores that I could afford. I mean, like Saks Fifth Avenue or Neiman Marcus, and finding some pieces like the yellow suit that I did, and then really mixing and matching. And that also kind of became something in the movie that was very fresh, because kids didn't wear high and low. In 90s, you were either like punk rock, or you were maybe preppy, or you were vintage 40s rockabilly. Maybe you were the Versace girl, or you were kind of the working girl in the suit. And I kind of brought something very fresh by mixing it up, so mixing the high and low, mixing the thrift store. But even if I did shop at the thrift store, everything was tailored. So it looked and didn't look designer, you looked high fashion. So there was a little trick that I used on all the costumes and Clueless.
I personally love thrifting. I love that not only is it great for the environment, but also for your wallet. But you can find such unique gems and change it up, like you said, as well.
Yes,
so,
but with the with a small budget, you have to be careful, because in thrift stores you can't return.
Right.
So I can't buy a bunch of stuff and hope that works, and then I'm like stuck. But we could put it to the extras too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and sometimes I'd imagine, based on the role, I mean, there wasn't too much like action in Clueless, but sometimes you need multiples of the exact same costume, and so you can't always
you can't always do it. Yeah. It's it's an interesting process. I mean, sometimes actors just sweat really profusely, and you have to maybe not even finding out till later. It's like, oh no, what do we do?
Yeah, that's a consideration that I'm sure most people don't think of, but you as a professional do.
Yes.
In the 90s, fashion was predominated by the grunge style and everything, and Clueless was this like colorful, fresh, bright, interesting, unique, playful style that has been continuing on, where people decades after continue to honor the styles from that. Yeah. So what has it been like to really be involved in this now that we've hit the 30-year anniversary of Clueless and people are celebrating all of that? What has it been like to be a part of different celebrations around this anniversary, even like designing a Clueless inspired suite at a Beverly Hills hotel and things like that? Like, talk a little bit about celebrating it 30 years
Amazing.
later.
I mean, no one, when we were making the movie, we were just doing our job and having so much fun, having a great director. I mean, amazing cast. We are all very young. I mean, most of the actors, I mean, Alicia Silverstone has done some movies, but it was like Paul Rudd's first movie, Donald Faison. I mean, all those kids, Brecken Meyer, they just did some stuff, but nothing really. Here we are on the Paramount lot, we are working, it was so cool. But no one could predict it. We hope that it's a cool movie. We were like, okay, like John Hughes, he made cool movies. Maybe it's something like that, But we knew that we had a great director, and she knew what she wanted. She allowed us also to kind of be open. She opened us up as artists. She kind of allowed me to be the Monome, the colorful, with the ads, with the fashions. And I think she allowed the actors to kind of, hone their craft, who they are as the characters, which I think allowed a lot of creativity. So I think that's kind of what lived, and there was a lot of joie de vivre, and we were also like really bringing back femininity, girliness, hopefulness, fun, colors. And I think that would maybe what has lived through the years. And I think that I feel like we're still celebrating now, 30 years later. There's some kind of like nostalgia for that kind of hopefulness, for that sweetness, for those fashions, for girliness. And that's what makes me
Yeah.
really happy. And I think to celebrate this 30 years ago, to, create a suite at L'Hermitage where it's like, you can walk into Cher's world. It was so great to like recreate the suite and curate her clothes and kind of, bring Cher back to life in a way that people could step into her world. I mean, it was quite amazing. It was emotional for people almost. And that's, I think, so fun because there's so much love for the characters. There's so much emotion that people have, and they identified with the characters, with Cher or Dion, and that's so beautiful too because you have the women who are like multi-generational women who are then young women seeing the movie who are now their 50s and now their daughters, and I mean, I meet fans as young as 15 and 8 who are
Hmm.
seeing the movie and
Wow.
loving it, and some kind of a power of that lived so many years. I think it really says something to how beautiful that film was, and really talked about friendship, and female friendship and, fashion, of course. But, there was a movie about girls that nobody was making at the time. No one. The movie was rejected by numerous studios because they said, we need boys. Why? No. And he was like, no way. I'm making a movie about girls and that's it.
Yeah. We are even more than half the population, but yeah. But yeah, it's I think another thing that you mentioned throughout as well is part of that, the positivity for it. There wasn't any cattiness, and
Yeah.
Alicia's character Cher, she's just really positive and like welcoming and sweet and kind and wants the best. So I think that's sort of, as you mentioned, like the positivity, the playfulness, the hopefulness. I think that's part of what helps keep it alive and keep it going, because it's like it's a feel good movie,
Yes. Yes.
It's
Completely. It's a
yeah.
feel good movie. And I think we need that.
And also, as you said, like you kind of were creating a new world that wasn't the typical 90s, so it wasn't like dated, it was
Right.
beyond
Right.
an era and a decade. So
Right.
I think that's amazing as well, and I think it's continuing to be inspirational because it was just sort of this colorful, sort of embracing of more than just that era and that place and that so
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
great.
And I like that you say that.
So moving on to some of your other work, two of your other iconic films, Never Been Kissed and Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion, they blend together fashion of the 80s and 90s as both main characters kind of retreat back to their 80s high school years in different ways. Um,
Right.
what was it like to design costumes on films where the fashions are from two distinct yet modern time periods? Like how do you celebrate that and blend them? And
Well, I think again, you start with the character. Who are they? And who are they now in the 90s, and then who are they in the
Mhm.
80s? So you kind of, you have to find that kind of through line of who they were and bring them back. I mean, Romy and Michelle, um, Michelle was always the feminine one. She was the designer. She was the funky girl with the cherry accessories and a lot of feather boas, and then Romy, played by Mira Sorvino, was much more kind of she was the boss lady and she was the smart one in the relationship. So you really take that through line from their characteristics that they have in when the movie takes place in the 90s, and then you take it back to the 80s. So it's really fun. So they were more like punk rockers. They were like they loved Madonna. you know and then Mira was kind of in the big shoulder pad jackets and kind of in the darker colors. So it's fun. It's really fun going back. I mean, I love, I was the kid of the 80s, so it was really fun for me to kind of go and revisit the times. I mean, there was another movie I did that was the 80s, Wedding Singer, and that was really fun. Actually, with our director Frank Karachi, he made us bring pictures, that actually pictures of us in the credits.
Oh, I
from the
remember that.
80s.
Yeah. Showing everyone from that decade.
Hilarious,
Yeah.
but it's so fun because we were bringing pictures of us, to set, and like everybody was just laughing so hard. Oh my God, you were this and you were that, and taking little clues, and it's really fun. I mean, period stuff is really interesting to do because it's just the approach to that you take, and I love comedy. So to me, it's really whimsy and fun and really delighting people with silliness on screen. I mean, Never Been Kissed was crazy.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore was just the best person to dress. She just loves to have fun. We would go shopping together, like in a day. Thank God it was before cell phones.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there was this store in LA, Lomans, where like they had they didn't even have private changing rooms, but, and just pick crazy stuff and have fun. And, really, I mean, what's the best part about costume design is telling the story of this character and their arc. I mean, in Never Been Kissed, it's like she's this dowdy little, bookworm girl. Then she goes undercover to high school with the crazy outfits that she thinks that she's fitting in. But then as the movie, develops and she's learning about herself, she figures it out who she really is, and she becomes this strong, beautiful young woman at the end, where it's amazing. It's like she's waiting to get the kiss in her beautiful chiffon pink dress, and she's a woman now.
Yeah.
And that's what's so fun, to be able to show those changes and who the women are. I do so many female kind of driven comedies and movies, and I love that. I love really empowering women, showing them that they can be all different ways,
Yeah.
and really accept themselves in all different ways, and have fun with fashion, and hopefully, that can influence someone to go home and maybe not wear the black outfit
Yeah.
today.
I mean, unless it's a really cool, interesting part of their look and fabulous. But yeah.
Right.
But I've noticed that, most, if not all of your projects have that sort of similar through line of being kind of bold and vibrant and playful. And that you said that, that kind of goes with your style and everything. So what would you say are some of the fringe benefits of working on more positive and fashion forward environments compared to, say, like if you were known for designing 1800s war epics or something, like there's different types of stories, but you seem to be in these bold, vibrant, positive ones.
I just like to have fun, and I love to embody that world. I like to be in that world. I don't really like blood that much, or crime stories so much. I don't like police uniforms. I've done them, but to me, this is fun. This is like exhilarating. I mean, just to have fittings with these women and laugh and, tell these stories that are positive. That, look at the films. People remember my movies. This is great. I mean, Romy and Michelle and Never Been a Kiss, Enchanted, House Bunny. It's fun. It's fun to do these movies that are memorable. That bring kind of the positivity. It's. I feel good when I'm doing the movies.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that even when movies can be really dark or heavy, often the sets are pretty light by comparison.
Right.
But it sounds like even the research for you is fun too. It's not like you're digging into wars and things.
Exactly. And the fittings, and you're going to shopping for boas, and you're going to shopping for crazy accessories. I mean, it's really fun.
Yeah. It sounds like quite a fun line of work you've gotten yourself into.
It's not easy. It's not easy. You have to find many accessories.
Yes.
And in very short time, and it has to work, and it has to please everybody, the actor, and now even more people, because now you have studios, and you have to send like email to like 20 people. Are they going to agree on this one necklace? And you're like, oh my God, and you feel like 12 hours till you shoot, and you're waiting for the approval, somebody to like wake up and maybe get on their computer at some, desk or somewhere in some country, because we're working in so many different places now.
But that said, do you have like a team that you work with over and over when the projects are bigger and allow for larger teams and everything? Like, are there people that are go-to members of your team?
I did, when we are more set in Los Angeles, for many years, a lot of my movies were actually made in LA. I had a beautiful team. It was really wonderful to have the same people that, they have your back, and there's a shorthand, but no longer, that Hollywood is really not really in Hollywood anymore.
Yeah.
I work overseas. I work in Vancouver. I work in different, states in which I can bring crew with me. Unfortunately, they just let the head of departments travel. So it's very hard, you're meeting people and you hope that they not lying on their resume.
Yeah.
they really have the skills that, they are saying. And, some places are not also so film centered. So people are like, hey, it's 5:00. I want to go home. I got a family. And it's like, what? We are shooting, or, we are working Saturday. So it's interesting. It's a different environment. It's a different culture. I mean, the culture in LA was film culture. We were here. We were in the business. We knew what we were doing. The level of skills here was amazing. And, unfortunately, it's not much is happening in LA. So it's different now. I did 4 movies in Berlin in the last few years, and that's been really fun because I was able to come back to the same crew, and it's such a delight. It's like, it's your family members.
Yeah.
You become family because you work so many hours, and so it's nice when that can happen.
Yeah, for some of our listeners who might not know who all might be involved in like the costume department. I mean, you're like a costume designer, but can you explain some of the roles and positions that you might be working with?
Well, Crews can range from 3 people to 10 people to 40 people, just depending on the size
Mhm.
of the picture. If it's contemporary and you're shopping, or is it something that you're making? Length of prep, but basically it's the costume designer who's head of the department, like me, who kind of deals with the producers, directors, all the creative stuff, does the fittings, and then underneath I would have like a supervisor who does all the financial stuff, organization stuff. She hires the crew as well. She knows where the crew needs to be on set and how many people. If we have 100 extras, we need more people on that day. She deals with the budget. On a TV show, she would be dealing with the weekly budget for every episode. On a movie, it's a little bit different. They track the money. Nowadays it's becoming more like an accountant too. It used to be much more creative. They could come to set or be on a wardrobe truck. Unfortunately, now it's different. Then I would have an assistant costume designer who helps me with fittings, shopping, getting everything kind of my right creative hand. Then we have key wardrobe people who are kind of, now we give them what we prep, and they prep with us. So they would go shopping, prepare the fittings with my costume designer assistant. They also report to the supervisor. And then the next layer would be like the costume makers. So people who make patterns, people who make the, seamstress, tailors, ager dyers to look the clothes old, specialty people who make maybe like walk around costumes or something that you need that has to move or light up, or the blood has to squirt from the inside of the outfit. And then kind of the last layer, very important layer, is the set people. So the set people really carry on my vision from the fitting room, what accessories I want and how the sleeves should be rolled up to the set. So when they set up the room for the actor with clothes, they help the actors to get dressed, and they keep the continuity on a set. So we know, and they know when the outfit has to change. Let's say they go to work in one outfit and then they come back and they change for dinner, and then maybe they have a date, and then they maybe put the sleepwear on. So all those costume changes are prepared by me and my kind of prep crew in a way. And then they keep it continuity, and then they, put it on a truck. They also make sure it's cleaned. It goes dry cleaner overnight. So kind of that's the base of the crew, and it just depends how big of a project. On something like Enchanted, I had 40 people working for me because we were making costumes. We were, tailoring everything and aging. On something like, smaller picture, it could be 10 people. I just did something with Catherine Hardwick, which was a $5 million movie, and I had 4 people. And we have to manage. And it's sometimes, it's the same amount of work or things, but its time is shorter, money is less, and you have to really adjust. I think you have to be very versatile.
Different set of creative challenges added on top.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Enchanted as well. You've done that and Stuart Little too. And what is it like doing costume design for animated characters and non-human animated characters at that?
It's fun, but hard because Stewart had the worst body of an actor I ever worked with. He's 4 inches tall, has short leg and a tail and a belly and no neck and ears. Big ears. And the director, Rob Minkoff, said to me, I just want him to look like he went to shop at the Gap.
You're like, well, the Gap is for humans. Yes.
But, those kind of challenges are great. You're learning to, a whole different way of working, of designing. You're working with a small character, different proportions. You're working with computer guys, CGI guys, who are building everything in a computer. We never made the clothes with real cloth. I go inside of the computer with them and tailor the clothing, pull it here a little bit up, change it here. Now, we did the movie so many years ago. Now there's such a new, technology to do it. And now with AI, it's, almost seamless with some of the things. But, it was really fun because I was able to kind of go into a new phase of things and learn something. And from there, I was able to jump on Enchanted, which was a very cool movie because it was iconic Disney characters, living in this 2D world. And then they had to jump out of the hole in, middle of New York City and become human characters with the same clothing. So translating the 2D animation, very flat, almost like outlines, to live action clothes with layers. And, if you think of, Giselle, Amy Adams, big fluffy white dress that just layers and layers and butterflies and, glitter and stuff. And which was really fun. And then Susan Sarandon character was really cool because we went from 2D animation, the Evil Queen, 2D animation to live action, her kind of walking in her, slick outfit in the middle of, 42nd Street in New York, which was pretty crazy to shoot. because they couldn't really stop the traffic.
Oh, wow.
And then she became the CGI dragon. So I had to kind of really learn how to navigate 2D animation, live action, and CGI character, and it all have, seamlessness in a way how they translated from one place to another, one medium to another. It was very cool. I love these challenges. I did another movie called Haunted Mansion with Rob Minkoff, and that was really cool too because I got to do something specialty there. Rob wanted the characters in the ride, when they go through the graveyard, to glow. But he didn't want to do it CG, so I came up with this really cool effect, which I use Scotch light, which is the stuff that's on the road signs and like your clothing when
Yeah, like
biking.
reflective paints and stuff.
Reflective stuff, yeah. But what it is, it's actually microscopic glass beads that are fused into the material or the road sign. But I was able to get from 3M the powder.
Oh, wow.
And I mixed it with paint and actually applied it onto the costumes. And then the camera lens had to have a ring of light around it so it reflected into the lens.
That's so cool.
So the costume looked glue and kind of were outwardly in a very kind of organic way, So those are the things, as a costume designer, I just get off of that stuff.
Oh my gosh. That's what I find so fascinating too. It's like, this is the stuff that, I love when you see behind the scenes stuff and you see, like they designed a specific fabric print that, is their family crest and it's only on the inside of the jacket, like these little fun things. That said, are there like Easter egg type things like that you've put into projects that fans have grabbed onto and ones that maybe they haven't discovered?
Well, I'm kind of the Easter egg. I put myself in the movies. Like I was actually in Clueless. I played a masseuse.
Nice.
I'm on the screen very little. I'm in Enchanted as well. I play a shop girl.
That's so cool.
So it's really fun. I have a little, it's just little cameos, but it's really fun.
I'm going to have to rewatch all of these and look for you.
But I think, I do use the color and kind of the certain shapes that are my signature. So, those are kind of the things that you may see in place and be like, oh, that's kind of a Mona-ism thing.
It feels very Mona. Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, we talked about films. I know you've done TV as well. And also, I just want to say shout out to Santa Clarita Diet, which I thought was it was such a fun show. And when you were talking about not liking blood earlier, I'm like, well, you had to deal with it for that.
But it was a fun way to do it.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Drew Barrymore eating humans and blending them in a blender, and it was also great because it was such a cool character to work on too, because she kind of is a little bit dowdy too in a way in the beginning, kind of not sure of herself. She's wearing kind of like ugly suits, and she's a real estate agent, and then as she starts eating the humans, she just becomes super powerful. And like her fashions, she's just like becomes a fashionista. She's now wearing Alexander McQueen suits, and telling other girls how to be powerful. It was fun.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example of that arc of like how costumes and what a character is wearing reflects like how they're feeling and everything. That's so great.
Yeah. And Drew is a hood. It's been so great to have these girls in my life for so many years. Alicia, I still work with her. Drew Barrymore. It's really fun. It's really great. And same with directors. To work with the same directors, and Amy, I'm still such a close friend with. Rob Minkoff. I've done like 5 movies with him, so it's cool. It's really it's family in a way.
Yeah, that's wonderful to be able to come back to that and have that comfort already and working relationship. So you've also worked on a fair amount of shows and movies aimed at younger audiences, like Xenon the Sequel. I loved all those little Xenon movies. Cheetah Girls, One World, Wizards of Waverly Place, the movie, things like that. Is there do you feel a different set of like parameters or responsibility that you find to the audience in terms of embracing trends, setting trends, and being appropriate yet fun when styling with younger people?
I think I'm the same me. I just do what I do. I think I have to be a certain way, appropriate, of course, because it's a Disney show. There's certain rules and regulations that they have, how long the skirt has to be, and kind of stuff. But I think, again, bringing something fun and really exuberant and something to emulate. It was really wonderful also work with these very young actresses who are kind of budding at that time. And really help them in a way to kind of understand their bodies, understand who they are, encourage them in some ways, to really accept themselves too. That was really important to me. It was interesting because there's a lot of pressure on these young girls, especially when they are in a system as well, how you should be and what it is. And, so kind of creating this very easy atmosphere was really cool, And I really enjoyed working for Disney. And, it was kind of some up my alley, all that stuff. I mean, the color and the
Exactly.
kind of femininity and silliness and exuberance and music and, music numbers. And I mean, Cheetah Girls was really great because I got to go to India, which is actually where I was born. And, we worked with the costumes, American and Indian, and how it kind of influenced each other. So there were really great opportunities there, at Disney Channel. It was cool kind of education in a way too, and it was fast paced and I had to be on my toes and, we traveled, we did, I mean, it was a lot, but it was fun. It prepared me for all the other things that I've done later.
Well, it sounds like as with anything in life, you're just always constantly learning and growing, and it's great to learn more as you're continuing, even in the same field. It's never without opportunity to learn more and to experience more. Can you tell us about your recently released book, The Fashion of Clueless, which is about the lasting legacy of the film and its costumes?
Recently released, October 28th, but it's just a wonderful legacy. I think it's something that people can take home and be with their characters intimately. Look at all the behind the scenes costumes, and my little processes, talking to the actors. I mean, Paul Rudd and Alicia and Amy Heckerling, and, remembering things from the time. I mean, we found like costume continuity Polaroids that nobody has seen in 30 years, including myself, that are in there. Now I have like little style guides, how to maybe wear what you could wear as share for a date. And, I feel so honored to have this book because it is really a legacy for me and for people, and something that really can live forever. You don't have to go to the movies. It can be on your coffee table book, and you can reach out anytime and be with these girls and boys. And I think something to be inspired to have some. Yeah. To me, it's a very inspirational book. It's very me, which is really fun. It's kind of like, it's an artist notebook in a way.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. Well, we'll make sure to put where people can find that in the show notes and everything as well. I did see that recently Peacock said they're going to be developing more of Cher Horowitz's story with Alicia Silverstone continuing sort of Clueless stuff. Amy Heckerling is going to be an executive producer on that. Are you going to be part of that sequel series at all?
I hope so. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's very early stages. I think they may be just starting to write it. I think Alicia is going to be a mom, with a teenage daughter. I don't know much more about it, where they're shooting, what's happening, but let's hope so. I mean, I'm part of the team.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not really Clueless without your iconic fashion. So hopefully they do bring you back.
I mean, it's a take on Clueless. I don't know if you could ever remake Clueless. Really, truly, I think it's just a kind of continuation.
Yeah,
of
it's a continuation.
Character, But yeah, it should be fun. I mean, I'm right now consulting on Romy and Michelle Broadway musical, which is really
that's fun.
So that's been really, really cool. Just, working with Robin Schiff, who was the original writer of the film and the play before that. So it's really fun to kind of revisiting the characters and, how can you kind of bring them to a theater setting, But Clueless also has a musical that was in London, which was really fun too. I went to the premiere with Amy in March, and it was really great to see my costumes on the stage. And, it was a beautiful, fun show. And, I mean, it was so fun seeing like four best friends, middle-aged women, like just giggling and running around and then being so happy, like on a date, and seeing the show. It was really fun.
That's awesome. That's, power to the ladies for doing stuff like that. So, and
for
being out there and in the media, everything that we get to see too, as we're a big proponent of that here. Do you have any tips on how they can help find their unique personal style and fashion? Because I know the book has tips and things in it too.
Well, I think that in all of it, you have to follow your passion to whoever you are, whoever you're becoming. And I think you have to really discern yourself. Who am I? Am I the girl that has tall, beautiful legs and maybe I can show him? Or, I have a great cleavage and that's kind of I have fabulous arms, what is my proportion? Like, how do I really, find it? I think that, with the fast fashion is hard because everything's kind of not made very well and we don't really understand how clothes should fit. And we should learn that. I think we should learn our bodies. I think alterations are not that expensive. You can take it to a little dry cleaner, and they usually have the little, tailor there that maybe you have to cuff up the pants or, make your sleeves a little 3/4 because it's nicer, or hem something up a little higher. So those are kind of the things, you may want to learn about yourself. Who are you? What is your body shape? And maybe not always you have to stick with the trends. I mean, I think that it's nice incorporating the trends, but, finding kind of your signature is cool. And what is your color palette? What is your skin tone? I mean, Alicia Silverstone was a different color palette than Stacey Dash. I could put the bright colors on her with her skin tone, so kind of finding that too, what complements you. Because I think it's in the end, it just makes you feel good when you kind of look in the mirror like, all right, I'm looking good today. Let's have fun. It's and maybe we can inspire others too with our confidence. It's being confident and kind of feeling good in your skin. It's really what it's all about.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Definitely. I think everyone knows what it feels like to when you like how you look in the mirror, or you love the outfit you put together. You have so much more energy and confidence walking out into the world. I love it.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to let people know, where can they learn more about you, your work, and possibly where they can get the book?
Well, they can find me on Instagram, of course. And my handle is It's Mona May. So ITSMONAMAY. They can go on my website, monamay.com, which is really cool because I have like process. You can look at some sketches, and it's really kind of behind the scenes of my artistry. I'm really, really love my website. And the book is going to be on Amazon and also booksellers near you. And you can get it at Barnes and Nobles, in LA, Book Soup. But I think it's going to be pretty much everywhere, which I hope so, because Christmas is coming.
Yes, definitely.
Buy it for you and your friends.
Yeah, and it's easy to see because it's got that iconic yellow plaid on the cover.
Yes.
Thank you so much for talking with us today about all of this. Everyone, check out like all of her movies and more of what you've got going on, and the book as well. I thank you for contributing such fun and colorful and vibrant and amazing costumes to the world of media, and thank you so much for sharing all about that today with us here.
Of course. And my next movie is called Street Smart with Katrine Hardwick directing. She did 13 and Lords of Dogtown. So very cool director, very edgy, fun film about young people living in Venice Beach. So check it out.
Ooh, yeah, we will.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Media Maker Spotlight from Women in Film and Video. To learn more about WIF, visit WIF as in Frank, V as in Victor.org. This podcast is produced by Sandra Abrams, Candice Bloch, Brandon Ferry, Tara Jabari, and Jerry Reinhardt, and edited by Michelle Kim, with audio production and mix by Steve Lack Audio and Ed Saltzman. Subscribe to continue learning from more amazing media makers. Please visit MediaMakerSpotlight.com for more information.